Do it.
What's going on, guys? Romer the Romer. I'm going to put the intro in there. Give me 1 second.
Look, grind hard, well done, sir, and welcome to the freaking Well Show.
All right, guys. Today I have Becky with me. She's a salsera. I met her down here in Miami, and you're the first dancer I've had on my channel. So congratulations. Besides me,
I feel
I'm a dancer.
special.
And you're an Instagram star, I've seen.
I'm a what?
Instagram star. I hear the echo again.
Yeah, I hear it too. No, it's.
No, you have,
I guess.
can you fathom, how many followers do you have? 38,000?
No, I'm 31. I
Okay.
think.
Even
But it's
3,000. Like, imagine a room full of 30,000 people.
Yeah, but okay. So at the same time, though, it's like I've accumulated them over the years, and a lot of them have been inactive
They're
since.
still
I don't know how to
people.
explain it. It's just yeah,
It's still,
yeah.
you're
Okay.
trying to discredit yourself. It's insane. Like, even if 20 people watch your video, that's still insane. That 20 people in a room, imagine like you're just dancing and 20 people are standing there watching. To me, that's insane. But you
You're
want to
right.
introduce yourself, kind of how long have you been dancing for? And in this podcast, we're going to talk about dance, how to get better at dance, and a little bit about the dating dancing. I'd like to take your opinion on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm Becky. Hi everybody. I've actually only been dancing for I think almost 5 years. I think this July
Yeah,
is gonna be 5 years.
that's not super long, and you're really good.
Thank you. No,
I think you're really good.
I
Like I feel like I'm not at the level where I can tell if someone's really really good, but to me, like I look at you, and I'm like, damn, she's really good. But I feel like I feel like I'll get better to the point where I can like look at people and be like, okay, they're really good, but like that person's really really good. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I'm at that same point. It's like where
Okay.
I think I'm fine, but then I'll see someone that's like really, really good and I'm like,
Mm,
God, they're really, really good. And then there are people that are just like me, like I think it's the same thing. It's just you're just going through your levels. You're like progressing at your own pace.
gotcha.
So I've been dancing for 5 years, and I started with salsa. Salsa, obviously, I don't know if your followers are familiar. You said they're not really familiar with it, but
The
salsa is
ones, the ones on
different than.
Instagram are, the ones on YouTube are probably
Okay,
like, what the
okay.
hell's going on right now? And then I'm also going to extract this audio and put it in a podcast. So we have a bunch of new listeners who are just like, what's this podcast about? So got a couple people in here.
Okay, so let's describe it a little bit then. We can definitely define it a little bit. Salsa is definitely different from bachata, right? Salsa is there are a million ways to dance salsa, but everyone knows what salsa music is. And there's a difference between salsa and bachata because one derives from more Cuban Latin culture and the other derives from like Dominican, that history is also a little bit different as well. So I started dancing salsa about 5 years ago, and I started dancing a particular style, which I changed out throughout the years. And then I started dancing bachata 2.5 years ago. So that was like really completely brand new to me.
Wait, you
So
were dancing salsa for 2.5 years and not bachata?
yeah, so for the first
Wow.
2.5 years, I was trying to dance bachata, but I wasn't really actually trying to learn. I was just going for salsa. Like when I would go out
Okay.
to socials, I would go out just to dance salsa and
Would
everything.
you sit out the bachata songs?
What?
Would you just sit out the bachata songs? You just wouldn't dance?
Oh, awkwardly all the
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Unless someone like really wanted to dance.
I feel like that with bachata right now because I'll sit out bachata songs intentionally because I'm like I feel good with salsa, but then when bachata comes on, like I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't really feel it. So like I get better at salsa because I dance salsa more when I go out. I dance salsa like probably 3 times as much because I use bachata for bathroom breaks. I use bachata to like go outside, catch some air.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're good at bachata. Like I feel every time I dance with you, you're very mindful of how you're dancing with somebody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I feel salsa a lot more. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I feel the music. Like I really
yeah,
enjoy it. Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm the same. I like if when people ask me like what it is that I like better, I usually always say that I like salsa better, just because salsa is where I started, and salsa there's just so much more you can do. Salsa is more difficult than bachata, like hands down, it's more difficult than bachata. Um, but I feel like you've actually improved a lot, and I feel like you do try to go, like I think I saw you at a bachata night. Remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm making an effort because like I saw you in. Is it Ariel, the other girl?
Ariella.
Ariella, you guys just kill it with bachata. And a lot of the guys here too, they're just so like in the sensual bachata too. Because
Yeah.
I was taking traditional bachata lessons. I don't know why I took traditional bachata lessons, but I was taking them.
But they're
And
good.
yeah, they are. But like all the body roll stuff, like it's cool, but like it's like for me to lead it, I don't know. It's like it's taken effort. Like a body roll. For those of you that don't know what a body roll is, it's like the way I was taught it. Yeah, she's doing it one right now. But you go forward with your chest first, and then you go down. It's like you're humping the air basically. And I remember when I started dancing in Nashville. Like okay, I started dancing because it scared me. I didn't know shit
Yeah.
about salsa, bachata. I didn't know. I knew that when I went to parties, the only time I danced was when I was drunk. So
Oh, okay.
I
Like everyone
started
else.
dancing. Yeah, I started dancing to get over my fear of like expressing myself on the dance floor. And I remember like the third night I was there, I was like, okay, I got the bachata count because bachata is always easier starting out. And I was doing the
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then I was like, I still do this to this day where like if I need to move, I'll look around and I just like copy someone from across the room. And I was like, I'm just gonna look over, and there's like this old dude, and this girl's gotta be like 20 years younger than him, and he's just like body rolling her, and she's like doing all this crazy shit. I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, am I supposed to like? And I'm just here with this old lady. I'm just like doing the steps, and I'm like, wait, like hold on a second. Like, am I just gonna dry up this lady? Like, what the hell?
Okay, it does look weird. So that was one of the things that made me kind of scared about bachata is that it was super sensual, and I was very not like that. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Like, this is like it's too much to be doing out in public. Like, it looks like people are like practically making love like in the middle of a
Yeah,
dance floor. You know what I mean? So at first it was really really weird for me. But surprisingly, I think one of the reasons that people like to watch me dance is because first of all, I've gotten over the fear of that sensuality, like during the dancing. But one thing that I started doing just because I did feel so awkward doing it was I just make
really.
it look fun versus sensual. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I like instead of like putting a face on where I'm like the sexiest person in the room because I honestly don't believe that. I feel like sometimes girls when they're doing those movements, they're like, I'm the hottest thing, or like, look at me, I'm amazing, or something
That's how
like
I
that.
feel when I do the body rolls. Look at
So
me.
when I do them, I'm like, oh, I don't want that exact like impression. So I do it more in terms of like, okay, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it really like sweet, but I'm also gonna do it like fun. I just want people to know that it's like it could be fun, it could be made your own. It doesn't have to be like super sexy. It doesn't have to be super. So yeah, like that definitely was one of the things that kind of deterred me from bachata at first. I was like, I don't want to make out with I don't want someone to get the wrong impression. You know, like when I'm dancing with them, like that's not what I but you get over that. The more you start to get into the scene, like you start to notice that nobody really gives a crap. Like everyone's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I realize that too. Like
Yeah.
the first, if you're at your party with your friends, you start dancing. Like everybody makes a big deal about it at first, but after the first 5 minutes, nobody gives a shit. And like when you're in the dance scene, whether it's I used to live in Nashville or Miami, it's like people aren't giving a shit. People see you every night. Like people aren't that obsessed with what you're doing. Like get over
Yep.
yourself.
Yep. Yeah. No, exactly. That's one thing I came into terms with too is nobody cares. Like everybody that's watching you dance, nobody cares. I mean, there are some people that are watching you just to watch you, but they're not really looking, if that makes any sense. They're more amazed at what's happening than who you are as a person doing
I
it. So
love it
it's
when
like
you post your videos and there's some people in the background just like, just like freaking out. It just adds to it so much.
I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful that people stop and stare because it makes me feel like I'm doing something cool and like that's not like everything else in that place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was another part to your question. I'm so sorry. How
Um,
long I've been dancing?
yeah. I mean, what got you into it? Did you answer that yet? Like what?
Oh yeah. So no, I didn't. So exactly 5 years ago in July, um, I that's my birthday by the way. So my birthday's in July 10th, and 5 years ago
One
I
month before
was
my
in.
birthday.
Oh really?
Yeah, I'm August 10th.
Oh shit! I mean, oh crap! I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
I already cussed. You're good.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. So now I know we're close birthday buddies. Now I know I had to get you something right after mine. But so my birthday, I remember it was like a really painful day for me. That in 20 what I think it was 2014, and I was just sick. No, 2015. I apologize. I was like super sick and tired of being unhealthy and overweight, and I mean, like I know
You were overweight?
people. Yeah, people always ask me that. People are always, "You're
Uh-oh. Oh, you're back. You got good battery life?
oh no.
I still see you. Can you hear me? Test, test.
Sorry.
Okay. Can you hear me? I don't know if she's got. You turn it off low power mode?
How do I do this? Okay. Hi, hold on. I can't hear anything.
Okay. You might have to reconnect your Bluetooth. I don't know. In the meantime,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Okay. It can't be on my end. Hmm. Nothing. You can't hear me.
Oh, do you want me
Check
to?
your. Yeah, you can leave and come back. Do that. I'm interviewing Becky right now. She's a salsa dancer. Met her down in
I took
Miami.
the AirPods out, but I still can't hear you.
You still can hear me? Oh, interesting. Let's see.
No. Do you want me to get out? How do I get out?
You can just exit out.
Oh, I got you. Hi.
Weird.
Better.
What was it?
That was really weird. What'd you say?
You hear me?
Yes.
You were saying you got into dancing for health.
Yeah, for the health reasons. So I was super unhealthy. It was really weird. I was like 140 pounds. So like, I know that that's a weird distinction to make, but from when you're like my height, which I'm really short, when you're 140 pounds, it like shows. It shows in your arms and your legs everywhere, you know? And that was the year, and that was the day that I decided I was going to go vegan and I was going to start doing cardio that I needed to like do cardio that I actually liked because every single time I tried to do cardio, I hated it. I would start crying. Like as soon as I got on the treadmill, I would literally look at it and like want to cry. I couldn't, it was like the worst thing. And at the gym that I was always going to, this guy was a personal trainer there. He's the one that invited me out. He's like, "Hey, come out salsa dancing with us." And I was like, "All right, cool." So and I was like, I can totally do that. And then I started salsa dancing literally just because it was like the only cardio that I could do without hating myself. So that turned into a hobby, which turned into,
Always like rhythmic? Did you always have rhythm?
oh God, no. I have video proof of my dancing.
You gotta send me some because I
It's
don't
so,
believe you.
oh no, I don't want to send it to any. I just told my best friend about this too.
That'd be so
I
cool to like make a side by side comparison video. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm posting all my like I'm posting my dance journey. I wish I would have posted it when I first started, but I was too embarrassed.
really,
Yeah,
it's
because like I
embarrassing.
was scared to be in the class. I was just like, I don't know how to make this girl turn, and I was, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have the balls to give someone a camera and or give someone my phone and have them record me. Oh, side note,
Well,
the other night I was
yeah,
working with Ariella. Is that her name?
yeah, yeah,
I
Ariella,
had this lady record us for three
yeah.
minutes. She recorded us for 3 minutes, and then at the very end, she thought she wasn't recording at all. At the very end, she pressed record, and she was like, "That was a long song," and then she gave it to me. And when I went to my car, I was like, "I'm gonna upload this on Instagram real quick," and all I had was her saying, "That was a long song," and she didn't actually
No
record the video at all.
way. That fucking sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
Damn,
I'm
that's
trying to document my because I know this is something I'm going to be doing for the next 10, 20 years. And I just know even right now, like I know I suck. Like I'll look at myself and I'll see like the way my shoulders are moving. I'd be like, 2 years from now, I'm going to be like, what the fuck was I doing? But I'll have the video proof of me, when I first started. I feel like that's cool. Showing
yeah.
your progress.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It is really, really cool. That's why I record now, pretty much. It's funny that you're saying that she did that because Ariella, my best friend, one time I asked her to record a demo, and I was like super hyped about it. and it was like one of those demos where you're feeling the song, where I'm just like, man, I know I'm gonna kill this song. And at the
Yeah.
very end, I look at my phone and I just see her going like this to end it, and
Oh,
it's like it started recording, and I'm like, Ariella, no.
what is that
Ariella,
called?
why?
There's a word for. I was in Mexico recently, and I'm
Uh-huh.
terrible at Spanish. But this guy was telling me he was pretty bad at English, but he was like he got the point across. He said there's a word. I can't remember what the word was, but it's a word for when you really feel the song, and it's like in your body, and you don't have to do much to move the girl. It's like you just like. And I'm sure like, you just talked about feeling it, but like as a lead, what it is like you feel the song so much, you don't have to do much, but you can like really like initiate all your moves with little effort. It's like you're not over exaggerating anything. You're just being like really calm. I wish I knew the word for it. If anyone knows the word for that, please comment it. I want to know. It's a Spanish word.
I don't even think I've really heard about that word ever, but that's sick. It's kind of like when something has a word to it and it's just like it's what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like it's just a feeling.
Yeah.
Not so much like an expression or anything. It's just how you feel in the moment. But yeah, no, that's how I was feeling it, and Ariel didn't record it, but regardless, like it was okay because someone else recorded it, and I still got the video, which was awesome.
Nice.
But recording your progress is super important because I still look at videos that I just took like not last week. This thing has had a quarantine for a longer time than that, but 2 weeks ago, right? Like I posted a video recently, like I just posted a video, and I'm just looking at it and I'm like, oh, like my arms and oh my God, my spins and what am I doing with my legs? But I post these things anyway, despite how I feel about them. And I still ask to be recorded despite how I feel about it because I want to see my own progress. Like I want to see what I can work on. I want to see what it is that I want to look like at the end. You know, you're not going to be able to do that if you don't know. That's why people practice in the mirror. You have to see yourself. You know, you have to see what you look like. One time, this guy was telling me as I'm dancing, he's like, "Stop doing that with your foot." And I'm like, "What am I doing with my foot?" And he's like, "Bro, you keep like going back with your foot." And I had no idea what he was talking about. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, "Why am I doing that?" Like it was just something that was in my brain that just started to do it. So it's a good way to hold your progress.
You know,
But,
Kyla.
Yeah, I love Kyla.
Yeah, so she'll give me shit. She'll be like, "Stop twitching!" Like she'll just say like some shit. I love it though. She's so real with me.
She's one of the coolest, realest people I've ever met. I met her for half a second and I love her. Like she's legit one of my top favorite people on Instagram in real life, like in the dance world. Like you can tell she has a lot of heart, she has a lot of soul, she's super sweet, but she's also super honest. She just knows how to be like a people person, but she's not gonna bullshit you either. Sorry.
You don't have to filter yourself on here.
But yeah, so that video is never gonna see the light of day because I was like 2 years into dancing and it was awful. Like but I remember my thought process in that moment. It's like, I know I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna keep trying because eventually I will.
You felt like you were doing good.
No, I knew I wasn't. Like you
know
felt
like
level
you
you're at.
felt the music though. You were really
Yes.
Okay.
Like you felt what you wanted it to be, you know, and eventually what you want it to be comes out. It just takes practice. It takes all of that. So that's why I started dancing, was to lose weight, and it actually really did help. I mean, that's pretty much all my exercise now. So
at what point did you like fall in love with it? Because I know that like obviously to get to the skill level you're at, you have to really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
At what point were you just like, I really like this? Like it's not just a fitness, 15-minute salsa routine every day just to get me in shape. What point was it like I want to do this? Like I really want to commit myself to this.
That's happened to me a few times in like the whole process of it. In the last 5 years, I've fallen in love with dance like 100 times. There are different situations. But the most recent time it happened, there's a couple called Carlos and Sophia that they live up in Canada, and they're more of a cabaret couple. So they do like a lot of like, pretty things in the air where she gets into a band, and then he like lifts her, and he's like the strong person that can like do all these things with her. And they were right in front of me, just like doing things that I didn't even know the human body could possibly do. And I felt this urge to start crying. Like I felt like so emotional in the moment because there's just no way that people can't see or don't see that the dancing is more than just movement and like listening to the music. It's everything. It's like building you as a person. It almost makes me feel superhuman when I dance, because I know the capability and the ability, you know, that you can get to, that anyone can get to. So
Is
it's happened a
dancing a
lot.
must for your partner? Like if
Like
you're
dating,
dating wise, yeah.
not at all.
Really?
No, yeah, not at all. I don't know why. I think it's because I've dated a dancer already. So that might be why. Why? Or how about you? Is
Well,
dancing
so
a
the
must for
thing,
your partner?
yeah. Well, I mean, I would make her dance, like just because like, I dance so much. Like, there's no way she's not gonna dance because I'm gonna be at home just doing my thing. I'm like, come here, like she's gonna dance regardless. But I'll probably meet her dancing if I had to guess, an educated guess.
Yeah.
I think I would meet her dancing. But either way, like, I mean, you lead, so you know how it is. Like, you can take some girls who have never danced before, and you can make them do the moves, and they're like naturally good follows. So maybe I'm kind of biased. I want her to be able to follow me because, like, I know for me starting out, if I was following someone, I couldn't do shit. So like this is kind of hypocritical, but like that's like a turn off for me now.
Really?
Yeah, like if she's just like if she doesn't have rhythm at all, because it just makes like a bad dance. I don't know. Maybe I'm definitely being hypocritical. I know me starting out, I used to make people lead me all the time.
Uh-huh.
I would be like the follow. Like I would just go up to like random dudes. I'd
Just
be like,
lead
yo,
me.
yeah. And I know I was terrible and like it was embarrassing for them. Like Nashville, we just be like in Nashville somewhere and I just have some random dude leading me. But I read a blog somewhere that if you want to get good at dancing fast, you have to do both. You have to lead and you have to follow.
Oh,
And
1,000%. 1,000%.
yeah, so I was doing that. But when I dance with girls now, like I like it. Like I like taking girls out who don't know how to dance, but if they can at least like kind of follow, like feel the music at least, that's attractive to me.
Okay, so what I like about that, and I talk about this with a lot of my private clients, because a lot of my private clients, when they start getting into dance, they do it for different reasons, everybody, right? And one thing that always comes up is the type of connection that you want to have with someone. And that says a lot about you as a person, like in dance, in life, in friendships, and family. Like it does, because a lot of the times when you're leading, for example, and you like it, right, that a girl can follow, even if she's not really good at dancing, like she's just at least trying to listen to you. It's very indicative of like how you would like a partner to be, like a connection with somebody to be, like for them to keep up without having to be naturally good at whatever they're doing, just, you know, like be on top of it, be persistent. And I'm kind of the same way. Like it's I do like my connections to be very strong and very, very intimate and very, very loving and very fun. But I think the reason that I don't need or I don't care if my partner dances is because I form connections in so many other things in that same way that they don't need to be dancers. And also, like,
You think
the
it's
whole
the same
dancing
way?
thing, for me, yes, because it like, for example, this might be TMI, but I was recently talking to someone who was plant-based, right? Like vegan.
Mm-hmm.
He was vegan and didn't dance at all. But I really, really liked and I enjoyed hanging out with him because we had other things in common. Like this is a huge other part of my life too, you know? So it didn't really matter to me. And also, like I was gonna say, I'm not sure how it's ever happened or how it's ever been with you in your experience, but a lot of people are pretty jealous in the dance scene. So it's kind of hard to like find someone that's not gonna be like, you can't go out without me, or don't ask that person to dance. Or sometimes I feel uncomfortable asking guys that have girlfriends to dance. Like it's super uncomfortable for me. I'm like, oh, I'll let them ask me. Or if I'm cool with the girlfriend, then I'll be like, oh, hey, you want to dance? You know, but I'll never ask some random person that has a girlfriend to dance because that will make me so uncomfortable. And I don't know how they feel about it. I don't want to like cause any like unnecessary weird emotions within anybody. If that makes any sense.
Right.
And sometimes when you're dating a dancer, that happens. Like I know way too many couples in the scene now that like I know that certain girls won't let their guys, you know, their partners dance with other people, and
Especially like because you know how it is, like with a really good dance. I mean, that's why like I want my partner to dance because I love that connection and I want to experience that connection with my partner. But there's sometimes like some bachata dances. My friend, he's Haitian, and he's like, bro, I would never let my girl dance with like. He's like, what are you doing? Like, I've never dated in the dance scene, but he would just see these girls. Like, I would just go up to this. He would come with me, and he would go up to this. I would go up to this dude's wife and be like, "Do you want to dance?" And we'd be doing some crazy shit. And then he would be like, "He's like, that's that guy's wife." He's like, "He's a bitch for not fighting you." Like,
oh well, you see what I'm saying though. Like, you get what I'm saying. People definitely have those reactions where they're like, they feel so strongly about it, and you're just like, I'm not trying to cause anything. I'm just the only dancer that I did date. We dated for 2 years. We dated almost 2 years ago, actually, and him and I were like, we did not care. Like, he could dance with anybody, I could dance with anybody. Like, it was never an issue. And the people that I've dated with in the scene, I've only been with one other person in the scene. It was kind of uncomfortable because he would get very upset if I danced with anyone, but then I wouldn't really care if he danced with anyone. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was very. Was
that before or after the second guy? Or the second guy, the guy that wasn't jealous.
Boyfriend was first. That was the not jealous guy.
Okay.
So it was really weird to be involved with someone that was jealous after, because I was so like, I wasn't used to it. I was like, oh, what's happening? Like, I'm not allowed to like dance with people. This is weird. I still did it because I don't really. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My
roommate's ordering Chipotle.
Dude, I want Chipotle. What? Bon appetit, guys.
It better be vegan. She's vegan.
I know. I saw it.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a question. He actually commented the question, and now he's sneaking around the corner, peeking in. He says, how long has Becky been vegan? You want to say what's up?
Hey, Becky, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
When is Becky gonna be here dancing?
When are you gonna come over? Have you seen our place?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
we give her the
you've
view.
seen it on Instagram.
Michael came over.
Who's Michael?
I can't really see.
Michael Jomer? Is that his name?
Behind the scenes.
Michael! Oh my God, I love Michael. He went to your place when? I love him.
Dude, he's super nice. He legit came to my place. Maybe I shouldn't like say this publicly, but he gave me like a free lesson.
Oh, I love him. No, yeah. He's that kind of human being. Like, he connects with everybody he meets. He's super nice. He's super loving. That I love him. Yeah. Remember I told you Carlos like one of my top? He's one of my top too. I love him so much.
Is Carlos the guy at Ball and Chain that you do lessons with?
No, Kevin.
That guy's really good.
Kevin's really good. Yeah, Kevin's one of the best leads that I've ever danced with. Like, and I think it's because he's so adapting. Like, he'll adapt to the person he's dancing with, and he'll just like be like, "Let's see what you can do today," and like he'll just totally go for it. But yeah, to answer your friend's question, I've been vegan for 5 years. Remember the whole dancing for 5 years? I was vegan for 5 years. So. Oh
yeah, I should have known that answer.
That's when it started. Okay. That's when it started. What about you? Should I have any questions for you?
No, it's not allowed. What questions do you have for me?
Well, kind of that the connection to dancing, like how I see that you're really passionate about your business. I see you post it all the time, like all of the time. So, I mean, doesn't that passion that drives you for your own business, does that passion drive you in dancing, or is dancing?
Yeah, I wrestled for 11 years of my life, and like my goal was always like the end of the season to place at the state tournament, to place at nationals. That was always my goal. And for me just to be thrown out in the regular world and not have a goal to work towards, like that didn't work for me. And using my body is huge. Like I want to use my body every day. And I actually went like several months without working out. I just focused on business, and I just didn't feel very good. And I've lifted weights like my whole life, and that doesn't really like I'm not like super excited about becoming like a bodybuilder or anything like that. Like that doesn't excite me. But when I literally started doing the dance thing just because it scared me. And then someone was like, I got to get at least kind of good at this. Like I've been dancing 2 months and I still suck. And someone was like, just listen to the music all the time. So I started listening to like 2-hour salsa playlist on YouTube, and I really started enjoying the music. And then I got inspired by a lot of dancers. I just saw people that were just amazing. And I was like, wow, like this isn't something like, you're not just like, I always thought you were just a dancer or you weren't. Like people are just good at dancing or they're not. Like they're born. And I didn't realize it was like a skill you could work on. And that really, like I saw this older guy that was crushing it. Same dude that was doing the body rolls with the younger woman. I saw him just crushing. I was like, wow, like I could do this my whole life and get better as time goes on. So that's why I do it.
Okay, cool. So that actually kind of brings me to, you know how I was telling you that I almost feel like dancing makes me feel superhuman?
Yeah.
I feel like wrestling's like a huge thing. I have a friend that owns this thing called like the Goat Shed or something, and he does MMA training. I think that's what he does.
Okay.
And he pretty much wrestles, right? And I saw the transformations in like their bodies and like how their bodies could do all these crazy things that we just like as regular human beings, we watch and we're like, oh, he's just rolling on the ground with that dude, and they're wrestling. Obviously, they're going to be in that position. But when you actually start to do it yourself, that's when you're like, holy shit, this takes a lot more mechanical work in my own body to get to this position, you know, like it's a lot of work. So I feel like dancing is kind of that same thing in that same way where it's like, and I tell everybody this when I first started like training them, learning how to dance is like literally learning how to walk again. Everyone learns how to walk and how to adjust in life differently. So like as a baby, you learn how to put pressure on your feet the right way, and then some people end up growing up putting more pressure on the inside of their foot, and they end up some people end up putting more pressure on the outside. So they're all walking differently. We're all walking kind of differently, right? Just to kind of adjust to our own bodies, especially as we're getting older. But when you're dancing, it's like you kind of have to start to really find the those body parts that you haven't really been adjusted to using that you're supposed to use when you're dancing, because it helps you. It helps with the, like I said, the mechanics of like your body movement and everything. So I feel like that's actually really, really cool. Like that you went from wrestling to dancing, because I see the similarities in that. But that's where I was coming with the whole like it being a superhuman thing.
Because at wrestling practice, we practice the same move over and over and over and over again. And I knew that like for wrestling, like you just have to move your body in certain ways to manipulate your opponent's body. And it's your opponent's always resisting you. Dance is almost like the opposite. You still use attention, because in wrestling, if you push into someone, they push back into you. And when you dance, you're still pushing into someone, they're still pushing back into you, but it's like more like a communicating style where it's like, we're going to do this together. Whereas in wrestling is like, I'm going to trick you and I'm going to go this way. So it was,
but it's still responsive, right?
Yes, it's responsive. And like really good wrestling drills look like people are almost dancing. Like it's so smooth, like it's not jagged. You don't overuse energy. It's everything's like clean cut. And that's what good dancing is too. Good dancing, you don't over exaggerate. You keep everything clean, and it doesn't take a whole lot of energy.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see the similarity in that. But so I brought one of my friends out dancing once. He's a wrestler, and he was actually very naturally good at it. Like he had never danced in his life, but he was just like very like, oh, okay, cool. This is what this is, and this is what that is. That's pretty cool. So I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what dancing is. It's responding. Just, I guess in wrestling, it'd be the opposite of what you're normally used to responding. So like, don't attack, follow, or lead.
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
How do you practice? Like, what's your go-to? Like, do you go out and dance? Do you stay home and do like isolations? Do you do a combination?
I practice by going to like a studio, any studio that has space. Usually there's a building that I live right next to. It's called the X, and they have like this beautiful studio. And I'll just find like an open space, and I'll start with stretching, but not like stretching like yoga stretching, because I don't really like yoga or anything like that. I do more static stretching like ballet or Pilates. Okay. So it helps me more so stretch the muscle as I'm building it, if that makes any sense. And I'll do that for like 30, 45 minutes by myself. And then I'll actually, almost every single time, I'll just play like 15 minutes worth of songs that I could just move to. It's like that video that I told you that I first recorded where I am dancing terribly to. it's what I do with this. It's like I'll just play music that I'm not used to dancing, hip hop, ballet, classical, zouk, kizomba, or whatever, and I'll just start moving in the ways that I think I'm supposed to be moving, and kind of working like the way that I was stretching earlier, and just letting my body loosen up, so that I can start to like really work every part of me. But at the same time, I'm trying to feel like every part of my body, because I feel like it helps a lot to be aware of muscles that you don't even know exist, bones that you don't even know could like do certain things, isolations that you don't even know that really work together, things like that.
Do you have like a mentor or a teacher that taught you a lot of this? Do you watch YouTube videos? Like how'd you learn all that?
So
That philosophy you just said about feeling it, like where'd you learn that from?
Social dancing. Literally. So I've when people ask me how I learned and stuff like that, not that that's what you asked me, but when people ask me how I learned, I literally learned by going out social dancing. So like I didn't go to a studio. I couldn't afford going to a studio. I didn't go to any teachers because privates were expensive for me. So I would just literally go out social dancing all of the time. And the philosophy and like movement, I would just ask a lot of questions to different people. I'd be like, hey, how'd you do that? And then someone just be like, oh, just at the inside of your foot. And I was like, okay, cool. Hey, how'd you do that? Oh, well, when you spin, you're supposed to actually bend your knees, not straighten them. And it's like, okay, cool. How'd you do that? So I just collect the information of the things that I like and I see, and then I mimic it. And then that's when I started to realize that everything that I was putting together was like, holy shit, like you have to work the inside of your foot to work your knee, to work the middle of your thigh, to work the inside of your thighs, to keep it going and things like that. So
those tiny
and popping.
details, popping.
Yeah, my ex-boyfriend was a popper, so that I was like, oh, maybe I should learn popping. So I like YouTubed one video, and in that one video, the guy tells you when people do all those moves or whatever, it's like they're actually just learning how to trigger each little bit of their muscle to get there, right? And that's what makes it look like the illusion, like their arms like a bendy, whatever. It's actually them
I got a friend
triggering.
who's a hip hop dancer. He's always doing crazy stuff.
Yeah,
And
that's
I tell him he'd be such a good salsa dancer because he'd already be so musical because he's like really good at picking up the little sounds and
that's sick. Take him out sometime.
Yeah, he wants to learn. He's a professional hip hop dancer. He was in some crazy. I don't know. They don't have Olympics. I was going to say Olympic dancing. Olympic dancing,
like the World of Dance thing, like where they do all the like cool.
It was something crazy. It was like some high level shit. And he
bring him.
Yeah, I will. And hopefully I can learn some hip hop dancing from him. Michael hip hop dances too.
Yes, he's so good. He used to dance for like celebrities and stuff. He's shown me videos. Like for I think it was Pitbull or something. But there was a lot of just reggaeton artists that they would have him in the background or even as a star, and he was just killing it. Like he's amazing. I love Michael so much.
So you said you learned a lot from going out social dancing. Do you think that because as a follow, you're always being exposed to new guys doing new moves, and you're having to adapt to your lead? Do you think a lead can go out and do that, have that same experience where he just becomes a really good dancer, just dancing with follows? Because the follow is not like teaching him any new moves. The lead is arguably teaching you new moves because he's initiating them on you. Does that make sense?
Yes. So the same way that I learned how to follow, people are always telling me, like sometimes leads will tell me like, oh, it's easier to follow than it is to lead. And it kind of gets me a little mad because it's not, like learning how to let your body go and, kind of like adapt to whatever someone's doing to you is not the same as someone having to move you in that direction. Definitely not. Yeah. But those two processes take a lot from someone to really fully understand them, right? So when you're leading, I do think that it's really, really, really good just to go out and just to see what's happening and to try to do it, but don't do it in a way that's forceful. Don't be like, okay, I need you to get here. I need you to get there. People learn that eventually that's it. You don't force people into movements. But it's more just like trying to fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? Like trying the movement until you kind of feel that it's right and people are responding to it well. And then you're like, oh, okay, this works, and asking little questions like, how do you turn? And how, because someone's going to answer. No one's going to be like, I'm not going to tell you how I turn. That's so rude. Like if someone asks me a question, I'm going to be like, yeah, I use this, or I do that. Or people have always been so open and welcoming to me. Why wouldn't I be that for them?
Do you think, how should leads approach it when they go out and dance and they're like, they want to learn? Like as a lead, I want to go out, I want to get better. Should I have like an intention? Should I have a move that I want to practice and like really solidify? Should I try to listen to the follow to where like she teaches me new moves? Is that even possible? Like, you know what I mean? Like if I want to learn more patterns, because I will say this, a lot of people talk shit about back leading, I think it's called, like where the girl like doesn't move on her own.
Yeah. That she'll do her own movements.
Right. That I actually learned from a lot of girls early on, because I was like, oh shit, like I didn't mean to do that, but she did it. And she's probably used to guy doing that on her. So I'd be like, okay, like now I know what to actually do.
Pretty much.
But even like some really good girls, I'll be doing a move that's not too I'm not really good at yet. And I'll just be like, I don't know, I'll do something. I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot what to do. And she'll like spin herself out of it. And I'm like, okay, that's how I finish the move. Yeah, I learned that way.
I mean, that's definitely one way to learn. One way that I've learned leading, I lead Ariella all the time. Like I just pretty much ask her how things feel.
You led me
I'm also
before.
trying to look at how I'm doing it. Have I led you?
Yeah, it was like I think it was this new place. Weren't that many people there?
It was a one-time thing. It was a one-time thing. I remember. Yeah. Yes, I remember leading you. So, leading is very different for everyone. It's like following, right? So everyone is different. Everyone that you dance with is going to be different. So me learning how to lead was a little bit crazy, because I started to learn that every girl responds differently. Some girls are a little bit more rigid. Some people are a little bit more soft. Like if I do this, they'll respond to it immediately. Some people, when I do a specific movement with my hand, they'll read it as something else versus what I meant it to be. So it's like you really have to adapt to the person that you're dancing with. And that's why you just have to go out as much as you can, because as different as everyone is, there are a lot of similarities in the way that people respond to things, whether they're good, whether they're professionals, whether they're beginners or, intermediate. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of similarities in the way that people respond. And then we can eventually catch on to those similarities and be like, okay, cool. And like kind of gather that in our mind and be like, that's what this response is, mostly like 80% success rate. And then you keep it going, And that's what's been happening with me, with my leading. With my leading, it's I lead Ariella, but Ariella reads everything. So it's kind of annoying, because it's like, fuck, like you can do everything I want you to do. There's no problem. But then I'll lead someone new and I'm like, ooh, this is hard. Like leading them is hard. They're a little heavier than I'm used to. So I have to really put a little bit more force in my movements and be like, okay, come here. Like when I want them.
Yeah, I've heard if you want to really get a move down and you kind of feel like you have it, start leading bad girls. Bad follows. Yeah. That's how
because 1,000%. Because
then if you're leading your teacher, it's one thing because she taught you the move. And when you go out and you actually dance, it's like, oh shit, like I got to be deliberate with this.
Oh my god, that's literally what I say to all of my students every time. I'm like, I'm gonna follow you the way that I follow you. I'm not gonna pretend that I know what you're about to do. If you lead it, I'll follow it. But if you don't, I'm not gonna follow it. But then I always tell them, but remember, not everyone follows like me. Like not everyone is gonna follow the way that I follow. They're not gonna be as soft or as maybe even as hard. Maybe I'm harder than some, or as fast or as slow.
Soft.
They're not gonna.
You're pretty soft. Out of all the followers I've ever led, you're one of the softest.
Oh
yeah.
So that's good. So and I always tell them that I'm like, you're gonna have to really adapt to the person that you're dancing with. So for any new leads, I think what you said was great. I think that if you have a movement in mind, definitely execute it. And if you're just a beginner, that's the only way to really go about it, because you're still kind of gathering knowledge about what those moves even are. And then eventually you start to see the similarities in the movements that you do, and the movements when it comes to like weight transfer, body movement, your own body movement, reflection, things like that. And it all kind of starts to make sense. But one thing that you should always do, and that's why I'm sure your friend told you this, is just listen to the music. Because like sometimes even the most basic dances are the best. Like when you're just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like side to side. As long as you really care for the song that's playing, that's why we're dancing to begin with.
Right.
then I think you're gonna be fine. Just don't forget. Like, don't try to like lead me sensually to a traditional that's like really hype, because then I'm like, what's happening right now?
I saw.
I'm like, okay, sure.
I don't know his name on Instagram, but I saw this dude. He's pretty big traditional bachataist, and he was like making fun of sensual bachata. He like posted something where he was like, do you like our sensual bachata? And like they were like doing, I don't know, it was definitely a sensual song, but then they like exaggerated the body rolls. It's kind of funny. There's a lot of Dominicans that don't like it though, right?
Yeah, there are. And I get it.
They say like the body rolls, and I don't know. It's really the body rolls they don't like. I feel like they don't like it because they don't. I feel like it's almost a different style. Like you see traditional and you see sensual, and it's like they're different worlds. Where did sensual originate from? Was that born in America or?
I've heard like 800 different stories. So obviously, bachata. It originated from the Dominican Republic, and it's traditional bachata. It's all hip movement, right? That. But just like Americans like to do, they like to make everything ballroom or ballet. So when you're dancing sensual or modern bachata, that's kind of essentially where it comes from. That's why you start moving in figure eights and, incorporating more body movement. But there's a lot of people that I've heard two different things from. That sensual bachata originated from Kike and I apologize, what's her name? Corky and Judith, which are a couple, I believe. I could totally be butchering this, but either they're from Italy or Spain, one of the two. Or I don't even know where they're from actually. So don't trust me on that. But apparently it originated from them. Like they started a lot with their original sensual movements, and then they, showed Daniel and Desiree, and then they showed other people, and that's how they came to be. But then I also hear that a lot of sensual bachata came from another dance called Zouk, which are you familiar with Zouk?
Yeah. I've been going to the Zouk class you posted on, it's like Reef Beach over in South Beach. I've been going there.
No way.
That bald dude that looks like
Evo.
Looks like Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan of Zouk. That's Evo. Yeah, I love him. So
he's pretty funny.
I love him. He's funny.
I like Zouk because
he's one of the best dancers.
Is he? Yeah, I followed him on Instagram. He's Instagram famous too. But I love the warm-ups they do where it's like they make you move your whole body, like your whole thoracic region. Like, this is so tight on me. That's another reason why I'm attracted to dancing. It's like I just know that my upper body is so tight. And like the way I've been thinking about this a lot, like how you can watch so many different people dance and just them being in their physical bodies makes the dance so much different. Like they're doing the same exact move someone else is doing, but just because the way they carry themselves, it just makes the dance present itself so much differently.
Oh yeah. That might be why the origin of what sensual bachata is so lost in translation. It's because everyone does it differently. So like if you ask people who the father and mother of sensual bachata are, some people will say Corky and Judith, some people will say Daniel and Desiree, others will say the modern bachata is Ataka and Alemana, right? So it comes from different places. And the people that say it comes from Zouk, actually Daniel and Desiree used to Zouk, I believe. So fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And because they became one of the more famous sensual bachateros, people started to kind of like identify sensual bachata as something that came from Zouk, because there's a lot of the same movement. I mean, you've been to the classes, like a lot of it has to do with sensuality, right? It's like moving your body to the point where you're loosening it, but also super in control of it at the same time.
Yeah. So are you a big
Zouk? And it's like, fanatic? I love Zouk. Oh my God, I have a video that I have with Evo, the guy that looks like Joe Rogan, with Joe Rogan. And I was actually going to post it today, but I was like, I'll just post it tomorrow. So it's funny that you mentioned him. But yeah, him, I love Zouk. Zouk and Kizomba are like one of my favorite dances. So that's where, the question. So I think that's where it originally came from either or, which I'll believe both, honestly. But it's just really cool in the direction that it's being taken in, because it's like, it's really complicated. Like it's starting to really complicate itself in the dance world, which is really fun.
Yeah, the whole community's a lot different. Like the Zouk community versus I feel like the salsa and bachata community are kind of like the same. for the most part. There's definitely
Yeah.
people that like you can tell they prefer salsa or prefer bachata. Then there's the Kazumba people, but the Zouk one, at least where I came from, Nashville, it was interesting. They were different. You could tell that they were different from the salseros.
Yes.
Is it like that here too?
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten that same vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. So the Zouk community, I feel like, okay, one thing I love about Evo is that Evo came from the salsa world. He came from dancing salsa and bachata to going to Zouk and Kizomba.
One of his posts, he was like, someone was like hating on him. They're like, this is just salsa Zouk. This isn't Zouk. Is that like a common, I don't know, criticism like of salsa dancers dance Zouk? They're like, I don't know. I didn't think it looked like salsa. Like I thought it looked like Zouk, but again, I don't really know what Zouk looks like. But it was just like, this is. I even get comments like that when I post stuff. Like sometimes people will be like, that's not bachata, and I know it's the traditional bachata people that are coming in hating on sensual. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that one I'm more familiar with. I've never seen like salsa Zouk, but I think I can get where it's coming from. I think what they're trying to say it's the movement and the way that you indicate your gesture is very salsa-ish, meaning like you're not necessarily moving the person the way you're supposed to in Zouk, because in Zouk you have to be super like hyper aware of someone, right? When you're doing something to them. And in salsa, it's more like you just get into the gesture and go.
Do you think Zouk's
but
harder?
you're than salsa?
Yeah, if someone was like, Zouk's way harder than salsa.
No, I think they're equally challenging.
But then
honestly.
I've also heard people are like, all the people that dance Zouk just dance Zouk because they can't dance salsa. Like there's like a lot of beef out there. I'm just like out here trying to learn how to dance. There's all these fucking different sub communities.
Honestly, if you hear someone trying to bring someone else down, they clearly have some sort of like issue going on with that's their own personal issue, and I don't know why they're like expressing it so openly to other people. But I've heard the bachata one is so common. They're like, dude, what are they dancing? Like that's not even bachata. And it kind of angered me before, but I don't let it upset me anymore. But before it would upset me, it's because I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand like, dude, we're just dancing. Like not one style of dance is the reason that most people, for example, hate on central bachata from traditional, for example, is because some people are like, that's not how bachata is danced. Bachata is danced this way, like the old school way. And then it angers me because it's like, do you realize that we're like evolving as people and like as dancers, and we are not going to keep doing the same thing forever? Because if we did, we would stay here and literally never change. Right. And who wants that?
Salsa's only like what, like 100 years old or something?
Yeah, dude, and do you know how many different ways there are to dance salsa? It's insane to me. Like it's evolved so much. So if someone was ever like, oh, that's not salsa, you got to do the real salsa, you would be like, what are you freaking talking about? Like, this is salsa now. Like salsa is what we are creating it to be, and if you want to accept it or not, that's up to you. But bachata is the way that it is now, right? And Zouk, for example, Zouk is what it is. I don't understand why people would have to hate on it to make themselves feel better. It's like, okay, congratulations, you get to learn a harder dance that's a little bit more I don't know, like whatever. Sorry, I'm completely ranting at this point, but you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's kind of. I feel like it's just human nature to do things like that. To kind of like, even like in the book world, there's definitely there's a little book niches of people, but there's more like, I don't know. There's always the pessimist. There's always like people that think that it's not possible to do something. That's mainly what we deal with in the book world. It's like, why are these new people? There's always the enemy. They try to make certain people the enemy. Yeah. They're like, why is this person coming in ruining it for all of us? Like they even hate on me. They're like, why are you teaching everybody how to sell books on Amazon? Like you're ruining it for me. And I've been told that, because what I used to do, I know you don't know much about what I do, but I used to go to thrift stores and I would just scan the fuck out of all the books in there, and I would get all the books that were profitable to sell on Amazon, put them in my basket, and go. And there's lots of other people doing it too. And I would have other people that have been doing it longer than me come up to me and be like, "You're ruining it for all of us," blah blah blah. And like in the meantime, I was actually like building a business. Like I was hiring more people. Like I was like doing all these things, and they had been doing it for 10 years, and they weren't doing anything to like actually build a sustainable business. And they were getting mad at me for like bringing in my friends, teaching my friends how to do it, like actually like scaling. And I'm like, look, I'm sorry you've been doing this shit for 10 years and you're not adapting. That might kind of be what it is with change. Like I feel like people are just resistant to change. Like with bachata.
Can I tell you a story that's very similar to that? It actually has nothing to do with the change in bachata, which I do agree that is a huge part of it. But recently, you know how like this whole virus thing happened and people have had to like start doing lessons online and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of dancers started doing it for free. And I think one guy posted about, he's like, oh, you know, it's really good that people are doing it for free. But for those asking, I'm not going to do it for free. My craft is not, you know, free. It's still taking me so much time to acquire this knowledge. Da, 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 da. He's like, so for those people that are doing it for free, that's cool. But just know that you might be watering down. I think verbatim, he said something about like watering down our his form of business, pretty much. Right?
It's complete bullshit. This is a great topic for me, by the way, too, because I'm actually launching a course on how to sell books, and there's already a lot of free content out there. So this is a perfect topic.
This is nice. Well, one of my beliefs, I don't know if you also agree with this, but I feel like everyone can be successful. Like I don't understand why people are so selfish in terms of how their business goes. Like if you're doing something, keep doing it. But if you're going to be a lazy ass and just kind of hope that things don't change so that you stay on top, that kind of sucks. Like someone's going to want to take it further, you know? And if they do, then just challenge yourself.
It's the survival of the fittest. It's nature to have competition. It's literally nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like when someone's doing something, there's going to be more people that like, that's why dancers keep getting better. They look at him like, oh, he's doing that shit. I'm going to do this shit right here. Like it's you're always coming up with a way to innovate. And exactly. I have a book selling course, and there's like a plethora of free information out there. I don't give a shit. I'm making a course. I'm going to make it my way. I'm going to market it my way. I'm not going to hate on someone else for putting out a free course because it's my course. I teach it my style. Yep. I have my information in it. It's 100% different. I'm not same with like selling books, like and building any type of business. Like I'm not going to in restrictedinventory.com. I don't know if you saw what that was. Hold on a second. We got this. This is a new software I'm using, so I'm super hype about it. This is what restrictedinventory.com is, guys.
Grind hard, well done, sir, and welcome to the freaking.
So in a nutshell, I sell it said restricted inventory. That's 50-50 split net profits. So in a nutshell, I sell items for other resellers at a 50-50 split net profits. And it's items that they can't sell on Amazon because Amazon restricted them in it. So they send it to us, we list them, we pack them, we ship them, and we sell it at a 50-50 split net profits. And so I created that business. And for about 4 months, zero competition. Everybody was like kind of looking, watching, and I'm very open on social media. So about 4 or 5 people, probably like 10 people now, made their own business. There's different websites that do exactly what I do. I'm not hating on them. I expect it shows that I had a good idea and I roll with it. I did it first. Yep. But it's like for me to be bitter about that, I don't know. It just like I wouldn't want to live with that mentality of like I'm here in Miami and I can see all these tall buildings. If I'm building a building in Miami, and I want to build the tallest building, I don't want to make my building the tallest by knocking other buildings down. That's not how I'm going to build the tallest building. I'm going to build the tallest fucking building by building it up myself. I'm not going to throw a bomb at that building and I'm not going to feel good about myself for doing that. So it forces you to get better. Like there's more things in life than money. There's more things in life than like being the best. Like progress. Yeah. I think progress is so much better than money or being good at something. Like being the best dancer in the room, that doesn't mean shit. Are you getting better every day? That's what's important. Yeah. You know?
Oh, I think about that all the time. So I feel the same way. Like whenever it comes to me dancing and teaching, for example, people always ask me like, do you want to do you want to start a studio and things like that? And I have no interest in that whatsoever. But I'm sure that along the way, I've been able um, to kind of not impress, but like to help people come to like terms with what they want to do based off of what I've been doing, you know? So as long as I keep moving and I'm doing things for myself and I'm actually doing things that I want to do, then I'll be fine. And if someone else follows along, I will have no problem with it whatsoever. Like, good for them. Like, I'm glad that they're doing what they want to do. But also, I'm also not going to be so concerned with everyone else's, like, oh no, you're hurting my business, because it's like, dude, that like, I'm making my business the way that I'm making it, and it has nothing to do with your business. But if you're going to complain about it, like, you're just, at this point, it's like you're focusing on the negative. Like, you're way too focused on me instead of focusing on the fact that your business or whatever you're doing should be going up, versus you're just like, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to knock down the tallest building because they don't want it to be the tallest building.
It's a sickness, and it's the thing is, like, the best game plan, like, if you truly want to be successful, like, this isn't just like some woo-woo bullshit, like, oh, be nice to other people so you can be successful. Like, no, like, if you actually want to be successful and you actually want to be good, like, when you go out and dance, like, if you actually really want to become a good dancer, you don't go out and dance and hope that everybody there sucks, so you're the best person in the room. You hope that you're the worst person in the room. You hope you go in there and you're like, holy shit, these people are really good. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
My roommate's lighting candles.
Yeah.
Right
You want to.
What's he about to do? Oh, he's got some salsa moves. Look at this. Oh, show him your salsa. You got to judge. Uh-oh. He's just getting into it.
He's really good.
She said you're good.
I'll teach her a thing or two.
He's giving private lessons. How much?
Just a free, like a rice bowl, something vegan.
Right, something vegan. Bring something vegan, he said.
I accept anything with food. I'm there. I'm chilling. Well, I mean, after this quarantine, obviously.
How are you reacting to that?
But yeah. To what's happening?
Yes.
Kind of sucks.
Like, what's your? Are you like super freaked out?
By the virus or by
by the virus itself? Like, are you like both? I guess are valid.
I am not very freaked out by the virus. I think because I'm very healthy. I know even the healthy people get it and they could suffer from it, but I don't know. I take care of myself really, really well. So I guess that's a really weird way of putting it. I know, and there's no logical reason for me to actually feel this way, but I genuinely feel like really okay. So I don't really go out also. Like, I go to the grocery store to get my groceries and then I come back. Quarantine isn't like really affecting me because I'm so used to being at home. I have like a handful of clients that I see monthly. So I can only take on so many clients because I'll see a few of my clients 1, 2, 3 times a week. And the only thing that it has affected is that I don't see them in person now. I only see 2 clients in person now.
I saw some.
Yeah, so I only see 2
with sticks, like 6-foot sticks.
Oh yeah, everyone has been sending me those freaking memes. Did you see the meme where they're like dancing on the mirror? They're
on what?
Seen that one or no? The guy dancing in the mirror.
Oh yeah. I've seen that one. That's
that
pretty
one.
good.
It's so funny. Yeah. So there's that. So no, the only thing is that I really don't have a lot of contact with people right now, which is whatever. Like, I'm used to it. I'm used to being by myself in that. But I did start to get a little smarter in terms of like, I'm sure you've seen it, the whole passive income thing. It's like, maybe try to find another way other than dancing to make a living. So I'm fine, thankfully, but I am going to try to start. It's crazy that you have so many social media outlets because I'm just trying to get out of Instagram into YouTube now. And that shit is hard, like hard.
Well, let me tell you this.
I tried recording a video that I had to record 3 times. What's up?
You were, why was it a hard video to record? Were you just like, I messed up my words?
No, it's because the first video, I like the aesthetic of it. I like how I had the setup, but I was talking like I was a robot. And then the second time I recorded the video,
go ahead.
Okay.
Go,
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, so my advice is pretend. Okay. when I make different content for different platforms, I think differently. So when I'm on
Yeah.
Instagram, I'm pretty comfortable
Yeah.
because I post like 4 fucking times a day. I'm like, oh, it's just Instagram, blah, blah, blah. I'm super comfortable. And then like he's seeing
You'd
me.
be like, whatever.
I shot my course. He's like, all right, this is the landing page for your course. And I'm like, hey guys, my name's Avery. And I'm just like talking like 100% different. I'm like, you just pretend that it's your favorite audience. Who's your favorite audience? Is it Instagram? Okay, shoot an Instagram video. And like, convince yourself, I'm just going to post this on Instagram, and then be like, nope, trick yourself, post it on YouTube instead. Do that.
Yeah. So I actually got that advice, thankfully. I got that advice a little bit while ago. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So I refilmed it twice after that. And I'm going to refilm it tomorrow. But I refilmed it again, and I realized that something was wrong with my shirt. And I should have checked that. And I was so mad about it. But I was like, oh, I can't post this. This is nudity. So I was like, all right, whatever. And then now tomorrow when I post it, I'm just going to make sure that I have everything that I want. This time, make sure that there are no wardrobe malfunctions, to talk to the camera like it's my audience, my favorite audience, and then to make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing for me. And I think I'll be good from there. It's like a very long video, though. I don't know if you do YouTube, right? This is what you put on YouTube,
Yes.
like your lives and stuff?
This is YouTube.
Okay, so for me, I just want to post like a quick 10-minute maybe like video that's not too long, and then like just grab my Instagram followers that ask me all the questions that they ask me, and then direct them there like, okay, you guys ask me all these questions, like this is where it's going to be, because I'm not going to post a 10-minute video on Instagram, it'd be too much.
Do you have your Instagram set up as a business? Like, do you see like how many people visit your profile? You get to see all those analytics.
Yes.
Something that's pretty eye-opening is go to business. I think it's creator.facebook.com, like business.creator Facebook. It's something like that. Type in like business Facebook analytics. Okay. And you can see how many people, let's say 30,000 people watched a video of yours. You can see how many people watched the first 10 seconds. How many people watch the first, if it's a 10-minute long video, you can see how long people watch it 1 minute. And Instagram, it's just the nature of the app. It drastically goes down. It's like the coronavirus trends, but opposite. It goes down and then it just tanks. And then there's a couple troopers that watch the whole thing. YouTube, for me at least, I have about 30 to 40% of people watch the video all the way through. So I can see it starts out and then it slowly goes down and down over time. So yeah, even if only 20 people watch your video on YouTube, if you have a 30% retention rate, that's still 6 people that watched you talk for 10 minutes. That's crazy to me. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Like you have to imagine it, imagine 6 people in the room just listening to you. And then that could be 60, and then that could be 600. That's fucking insane.
Can I tell you something that I actually had to wake myself up about?
What is it?
This, and I hope this doesn't sound braggy. This is gonna sound kind of weird actually coming out of my mouth now. But so I have 30,000 followers about on my Instagram. And I'd get really upset. Like over the last year, I would get really, really, really upset because the most amount of people that view my stories are anywhere between 2,000 to 4,000 people, right? Okay. The most views I've ever gotten on my stories were 5,000 or something. I think it was 5,500. But even now, consistently, always I'll get 1,600 views, even if I post nonsense all day, right? At least 1,600 person will see all of my stories, right? So it ranges anywhere from 1,600 to 2,200. And just 2 days ago, I was like, man, I get no freaking views. My engagement is super down. I know my engagement is down because I don't do anything about it. But I was like, you know what? Still, that's a lot of freaking people to be watching my stuff.
I have the same problem. I do this. I have to talk to myself, and that's recently I've been talking to myself a lot. Where it's just you asshole. Even if 2 people are watching you, that's crazy.
That's amazing. Yeah, exactly. Because those people they're the ones clicking on your stuff. So I was like, why am I being such a shit? Because I guess I was seeing also the forward and the back. And I saw the other day that 400 people just forwarded it, and then only 30 people exited or something. On on the story that was about to expire. And I'm like, that's still not a lot of people to be forwarding and exiting from 1,800 people. Well, yesterday I had like over 2,000. So, but that's still like, that's nothing, you know, like those other people did it forward and they kept watching the story. And that's insane to me. Like, I have to really talk to myself and be like, dude, like, wake up. Like, that's still a lot of people. You still have reach. And it's like, I'm reading this book called The Tipping Point. Like, at any point, anything can just suddenly change and then just go, whoop, but you just have to keep going. You have to keep trying. You have to keep like inventing new ways to create yourself, because if you don't, then if you're just staying stagnant, like everyone wants to stay, then of course your stuff's going to go all the way down. You have to be very innovative, no matter if people even care.
You have to think what type of growth do you want? Because the growth of your audience doesn't necessarily mean that you're putting out good content. It just means you're putting out content that people like. So my philosophy, I plan on posting till 85 years old. So like I'm in it for the long haul. But my philosophy is I post stuff that it's true to me. It's like dancing. Like I don't want to learn how to dance a style that's not my own. And even if people really like the style that's not my own, I don't feel natural doing it. So I'd rather have like, I kind of get excited when I post something and not that many people like it, because I'm like, they don't get it. They don't understand what I'm really talking about. Or maybe it's just because you're cultivating an audience. It's like literally like a petri dish of bacteria, and like that bacteria is growing. The more and more stuff you put out there, you're cultivating a different type of person that's watching you. And would you want to meet that person in person? Would you want to have like an intelligent conversation with that person? Like you have to ask yourself these types of questions, because you're going to meet the people that you post content for. And I mean, you're authentic. I can tell you're yourself on social media, but imagine how much of a nightmare it would be if you weren't yourself on social media and you had to go out in the real world.
Oh yeah.
Someone saw you and you were like, oh, I gotta be Becky now. Like
I gotta be Becky Deeve. So something really funny about that. When I first started Becky Deeve, my page, I think I remember I started through an ex-boyfriend, right? And he told me about Instagram, and I was like, what's Instagram? And he's like, oh my God, you have to download it. It's this like thing that everyone's doing now. I was like, all right, cool. So I downloaded it. I was like 18. This was like 9 years ago. This was a long time ago. No, I'm sorry. I was 20. This was 7 years ago. So I remember I downloaded it finally, and I started posting pictures. And I remember I posted one picture that I only posted it because it looked funny. Like I had a big iPad and it was on a mirror, and because I was wearing like a tank top or something, it was like a crop top. It looked like I was naked in the background because the iPad was covering me. And the iPad also had a sticker that was like a little bit more of a sexually, implied. It was a funny sticker. And I posted the picture, and I'm not even kidding when I said I got maybe like 20 comments on that one picture, and maybe like 3 messages from different people saying, why are you posting stuff like this? This is so not you. Like, why are you trying to be sensual or sexual or da-da-da? And I was like, bro, calm down. Like, it was a funny picture, but clearly it's triggered a lot of people. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I got kind of upset at first because I was like, whoa, like, why is everyone attacking me? But I'm like, you know what? I think this is funny. Like, I'm just going to keep doing what I think is funny and what I like. Yeah. And slowly but surely, somehow my followers started growing and growing and growing. And all of a sudden, those same people that messaged me, those really insanely rude comments, message me to this day, and they're like, I love how open you are and how self-expressive you are.
Same thing.
I think it's so cool that you are who you are. I'm like, what are you like? What is happening? So it's like what Gary Vee says all the time. Just keep freaking doing what you want to do. Keep doing what you want to do. And if people like it, they like it, and you'll attract them. And if they don't like it, then you won't attract them. But people are going to want to talk you out of these things at first, because it's like they don't understand your vision. Yeah. They don't understand who you are.
Testing you. They're like, they might want permission to do the same thing, but they're like, I don't have permission. I'm not going to give her permission, but I'm actually reaching out to her because I want permission from her. You know what I mean? Like I want her to be like a strong woman. And you proved it to some of them.
Maybe.
Some of them stuck around.
Well, the same thing with dancing. Reach out to
me and say like, I like Avery, but I don't like the douchey version of you on, talking about business all the time on Instagram. I've literally had someone say that to me before.
What? That's so rude.
I mean,
wait, tell me this in dancing. Have you, in the time that you've been dancing, have you ever had someone not want to dance with you because they didn't think you were like good enough?
I've had people not dance with me. I could say it was because I wasn't good enough. I could make that reason up, but they didn't tell me that they didn't dance with me because I wasn't good enough. And so no, I've never
Like,
had.
could you tell? Like, was it a thing?
I thought it was, but she was also talking to this guy, so it could have been that. But I saw her dance with other guys, so I think it happened at least one time. But other than
Okay,
that,
so what happened to me a lot was I used to not get asked to dance when I first started because
it's
I was so
different.
bad.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what I was doing. So because I didn't know what I was doing, I was like, oh, this really sucks. Like nobody wants to dance with me. So instead of just sulking about it, because I really wanted to dance, I was like, hey, dance with me, please. And if they said no, they said no. If they said yes, they said yes. And again, it's the same thing happened with those people. Like the more I started to dance and the better I got, now those people are the ones that like want to ask me to dance all the time and things like that. But it's just because like I wanted to do it. Like I don't need their permission and I don't good. If I want to do something, I'm going to be a part of it if I want to be a part of it. And people can, be mean to me if they want to be, but if they are, like I'm a big girl, like I can take care of myself. You're not paying my bills. So I'm going to keep doing what I want to do. And if it makes me happy at the end of the day, awesome. And if it makes you change your mind about me, even better, right?
yeah. I was just thinking about your question again. If I've ever been told no, and the reason why I was thinking about that for a while is because me going from like clubbing to the salsa scene, it was just like it was so different because I've been probably told no thousands of times going out to a club, like, just like going up to girls, be like, hey, you want to dance? Like I've been told harshly no several times. But when I went to the salsa scene, like it was just such a different environment where like I didn't give a shit if a girl was just like politely like, oh no, like it was just like I was like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's better than I've been told no's like in so many harsher ways, like at clubs where it's just like it didn't even affect me. So I've been told no a lot, just like at animal dancing. I don't know what you call it.
Twerking? No, I don't know what it is either.
It's
no, but I'm the same way. So for me, well, look at where I came from. Like I'm any female that you talk to, or any person that's just used to people like, because most females, this isn't to be sexist, but most females just have options, like, and you're never gonna really get rejected unless it's like really bad. But I came from a world where I never did anything to go out of my comfort zone to get rejected.
Gotcha.
But the times that I did do it, like with my Instagram and social dancing, that's when I was like, I'm cool with getting rejected. Like, I just want to keep doing this. And I don't care about the rejections. I'm going to keep going, So that was like the second time that I really knew what rejection was. And it's triggering. You're like, like you're fucking terrified. And you're like, and you start to realize why people are saying no. It's not like you're just going to like kind of, like you said, you were so like phased by it and you were so used to it that if it happened, you didn't even really pay attention to it. Versus me, as soon as someone said no to me, I like overanalyze the crap out of it. And I'm like, why? Like, do I smell bad? Am I wearing something stupid? Is it because I'm not wearing heels? Like, did I say something to that person? Did their girlfriend tell them not to dance with me? Or is it because I'm really bad and I can tell people don't want to dance with me because I'm a beginner? So that was like a huge thing for me. Like, I was like, oh, I can tell why they said no to me. It's probably because of this reason.
Yeah. You're making, I mean, like, you're not making the story up, but you are telling yourself the story about why they said no. So you could like make it worse or make it better, like depending on your mood, how you feel.
Oh, it didn't affect me. I was like, is that why they said no? Okay, gotta have somebody else.
When it comes to guys dancing who are like super afraid of rejection, do you ever have clients like that? Like, do you ever have guys come to you and they're like, I need to learn, like after you're instructing at ball and chain now, you might have guys come up to you and be like, I'm so shy. I want to go out and dance. What advice do you give to them?
Oh, I can't give them advice. With the people that I actually know, and I can start to kind of tell that when I engage with them, they're very timid. Like they almost don't know how to, you can sense that in their dancing. Like you can sense it with their movements, when you're like, oh, can you do this to me? And they're like, okay. And they like barely move, or I can feel that in the connection with me. So I'm like, okay. Just so I always tell them, I'm like, hey, I'm like, in order for you to lead me, right? If they want to lead, I'm like, you kind of have to tell me. And they're like, oh, okay, but I don't want to hurt you. And I'm like, you're not going to hurt me. And I'm like, if you're not doing anything to my arm or my back or my leg and you're not being forceful about it, then you're not going to hurt me. If you're being suggestive about it, that's a completely different thing. So when people are more shy in the scene, I don't tell them, and I try not to make them aware of them being shy because I don't want them to have that in their mind. So what I do is I just kind of
That's really
explain to
smart,
them
actually.
how it is in, yeah, in dancing. I just want them to be more aware of their lead if that's what they're coming to me for, right? I've had timid women as well, you know, where they're like, oh, I can't do all that because I feel like I'm being too sensual, and this, you know, that's, we talked about that earlier too. So again, it's like I tell them how to execute the movement, and I'll use words like do it with a little bit more confidence, or like just try to do it where you're a little bit more not assertive, but you're telling me like, hey, I want you to go this way, you know, and you're not necessarily just asking me. It's like, because I don't want you to just like be like maybe like no, I kind of need that direction, because as a follow, I need to be very clear as to, oh, they want to do this. And even if I don't know that that's what they're doing, at least I can sense a direction as to what's happening, because I need to know with your body awareness. And when people are more aware of their body, it somehow triggers them to be a little bit more aware of themselves. I had a guy message me this huge thing after we finished our lessons, and he's like, I don't know how to thank you, but I know that you probably didn't even mean to do this, but you've improved my life in other parts, because now I'm not scared to go up to someone to ask them on a date. Now I'm not scared to ask someone to dance, and like now I'm not scared to just like move myself and be who I want to be, because I, you know, like you kind of would tell me a lot of things, like little things in our dancing that I noticed that just helped me a lot more as a person in general. And I remember when I met him, he had been like super shy and he couldn't even approach me, and like he was kind of like timid when he spoke to me. But then the last time that I saw him, he was like, hey Becky, what's up? Oh my god, so good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long. Do you want to go grab lunch sometime? And I'm like, who is this person that is talking to me right now? I thought it was so cool. But you know, it was nice because it transferred in other ways, it translated in other parts of his life. But that's what I do with my shyer clients. It's more like I don't want them to know what's happening. I just want them to know like, okay, maybe we can learn how to do this in this part, and then if you wanna use it, then you use it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was saying
So
earlier.
you were like that. You were timid.
I was timid. I wasn't that bad. I just didn't know how to. I was so uncomfortable with. I was really uncomfortable with the rhythm of it. Like
Oh, okay.
because every time I would dance, people just shut me down immediately. They'd be like, white boy, like stop. Like, you know, just growing up from like middle school to high school. I just had this association with like I suck at dancing. So I was just like, you know what? Like, and it would actually give me anxiety. Like, I would go to parties and I'd be like unless I was drunk, I'd be just doing like it was either like really sad or really funny. Like it was one of those two things. I was either gonna dance
Yeah.
just to be like a clown or dance, and it was just like awkward. Everyone's like, oh, what the hell's going on right now?
Yeah.
So but I wrestled, so like I understood how to use your body. But I don't think I was ever like
Yeah.
really, really bad, but like it was like starting out, like I'd say the first 2 months were rough. And then I took a break for 3 months after my first 2 months. And I felt like I should have been good. You know, like when you're like, I've been dancing for 5 months or whatever, you feel like you should be good. And I wasn't yet. And that's when I got even more anxiety because I had a little bit of an ego attached to it. And but yeah, there was definitely times like where I had awkward dances where like the girl would be like trying to tell me to do something, and I'd be like, I can't even, like, she's like, listen to the cowbell, and I'm like, which one's the cowbell? I hear like 8 different things going on right now. So yeah, I've come a long way, but it was such a practice, like it's almost like I used to like get so nervous before I would go out and dance. And do you know who David Goggins is? By any chance?
David Goggins?
Think of another example.
No.
He's like a dude that he was a Navy SEAL, and he's always talking about doing stuff that makes you uncomfortable. And most of the stuff he does that makes him uncomfortable is like running 100 miles at once, going out and running 100 miles, like no training. That's the kind of stuff he does. And I was like asking myself, I was like, what truly makes me what makes me the most nervous right now? And it was public speaking, shooting YouTube videos, and dancing. So I was like, I got to go after this shit. Like that's what's in my brain as scary. So I need to attack those things.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the intention of really falling in love with salsa, but it's what happened because something about the music and just the connection with like another person. It's just, you can't, I haven't experienced that anywhere else. That's why I was interested when you said you didn't care if your partner danced or not. Cause you experienced that connection on sharing like vegan type experiences. And I definitely feel connected. Like there's times where I feel super connected with my family. I don't really dance with my family. I dance with my mom, but like, I feel like a love for them, and that's palpable to an extent, and it's great. And I'm not going to say one's better or worse. And I've been like in love with girls, like really good, like connection with your partner. But there's something about like the whole dancing thing. It's just different. It's like a different flavor, but it's a flavor that I would want in my relationships.
Yeah. Well, to go back to your being uncomfortable with things and then attacking them, I think that's wonderful. Like that's one of the number one things that I love doing. But I love doing that in mostly like my dancing life. I love doing that in my social media life, and I love doing that in like my love life. I'm not even kidding. So that's, I think that might be why I don't really care if someone that I'm talking to is a dancer, because it'll help me attack a relationship or a lover of whatever form of relationship that we have. From a different like perspective. So like I love having uncomfortable emotions, uncomfortable conversations with people, because it helps me really engage in things that I don't even know exist, if that makes any sense. Like you don't know something exists.
Like you're saying something isn't like a fear or like an experience, like a feeling you don't know exists.
Yes. Like it's about because everyone's different, right? So whoever I connect with, it's never going to be the same thing. So like let's say in relationship terms, like let's say I do meet someone that isn't a dancer, and hopefully they don't care that I'm a dancer either, but let's say they're into like, I don't know, guns, and I'm not into guns, like, you know what I mean? It would be very weird, but I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, we have this to talk about, and it'll give me an insight on what their life is, and it'll definitely probably make my case a little stronger, because then I'll know exactly why it is that I don't like certain things in life, but I like this person, and you know what I mean? Like it's just about really figuring out the middle ground. When it comes to that. And that happens a lot in my relationships anyways, because that's funny. I'm actually posting a video on YouTube. My first video is about like polyamory. And one of the things that I talk about are like having uncomfortable emotions and uncomfortable conversations with people that it honestly isn't as bad as we make it in our heads. And once we go through with them, we start to learn more about ourselves and learn more about our environment as we go.
So are you
Same thing in
the video? What's the context of the polyamory? Are you advocating it? Are you sharing your experience on it?
I am doing like three things, which I'm splitting into like three parts. But I am not advocating it. I am expressing how I feel about it, because I'm very opinionated, but I'm also very suggestive. So I'll tell people why I like things, and like tell them why. Like I'll give them a whole list, and they can choose whether or not they want to. And if they want to have a conversation with me, we can definitely do that too. But I'm also definitely at like trying to get people to understand how monogamy works as well. Meaning like I'm both polyamorous and monogamous. Like I could be both. That's the beauty in it, the fluidity, right? That's the uncomfortable conversations that we have with people. It's like, what are you? And it's like, I'm not either or, I'm both, you know? And it's like, you can be both. You just have to really find what it is that you want in life. And again, not be afraid to go through those emotions to adapt to the connection that you're making with someone else. And in dance, the connections that I make with people are so beautiful. And like, I meet so many amazing people, but in a very long time, I haven't made a connection with someone where I'm like, at the end of it, I'm like, oh, that was amazing. Like, I love them, you know, or like, I really like them. It hasn't done that for me. It's only really ever made me like admire someone for their talent or like the way that they move.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And I feel like true, for lack of a better term, love, maybe connection's a better word. It takes time. It takes time, and it takes experiences. It takes tough experiences, going through things together. That's why if you really want to build rapport with someone, you take them to either like you take them skydiving, you take them like canoeing in the ocean, like you do some crazy shit with them where something could go wrong and it's slightly emotional experience.
Yeah.
And you're going to see their true colors. You guys are going to have to overcome some shit, and you're going to jump months ahead in the connection you experience with that person. It's not going to take a long time and a bunch of conversations because you get to see their like rawness, how they react. Like, camping is a big one for me. Like, I'm taking my girl camping in the woods for 2 weeks. I don't give a shit if she's a city girl or country girl, like whatever. She comes with me for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks in the woods, there's going to be at least one day where shit, even though like I'm really good at like making fires, I'm good at like hiking, I'm good at all that stuff. There's going to be at least one day where my shit's not together, maybe her shit's not together, and I'm going to get to see the worst of her like in a really bad state. And that's seeing how you overcome those like really negative experiences and negative situations. That's as soon as you can figure that out and see how you react with someone else, see how you guys are as a team, that's really eye-opening. So like, just get that shit out of the way ASAP.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's
funny. So
well, I was gonna say, even if it's like bringing them to like a crazy dance bar downtown, and you don't know how they're gonna react to you going out and dancing with 20 different girls that night, or vice versa. How are you gonna react to her? Like, that's a good test too. But what were you about to say?
It's a really, really good test. It's exactly that. Like I have a thing where I haven't been in a relationship in like 2 years, and I'll date every now and then, but that's what it is. It's dating. Like it's mostly just saying someone that you kind of like, and you're like, oh, maybe. And then once you become their friend, you're like, oh, maybe not. You know, that's kind of what it's been mostly for me since then. It's just been like, maybe. And then it's like, nah, we're cool as friends, and I'll just stay friends with them. But in the dance scene, for example, I'm a huge person, like when it comes to relationships, I'm a huge person that sees how, or really cares about how other people treat other people. So kind of like how you're like, okay, I want to see how you are in this situation if thing goes to shit. For me, it's more like, if I see how you are with other people and how you are with your mom and how you are with your friends and your cousins and your girlfriends and your boyfriend, like if I see how you are with those people and I see that it's like one person that's a really good person, then I know exactly how you're going to treat me. Especially if I see how you are with someone that you dislike or that you're not comfortable with, you know? Because I 1,000% believe that however you treat the person that you are not comfortable with is exactly how you're going to treat me one day if we ever have issues, right?
Right.
So in dancing, that's kind of, you can't really see that in people. Like you can see people dancing with everyone else and how they treat everyone else on the dance floor. Like I've had amazing friends who I love going out with them because they'll make everyone feel super good about themselves. They'll dance with everyone. They'll never say no. They'll always have a smile on their faces. Are my favorite kind of people. And that's why Kayla and Evo are like amongst my top people, because they're always going to have that energy. Like they're beautiful human beings that truly care about everyone's experience and their own, you know, it's not like they're faking it.
Yeah.
And that for me, relationships, that has a lot to do with relationships, and you can't really see that on the dance floor. So that's why it doesn't really matter to me if they're dancers. But if they are dancers, like if I do end up liking a dancer, which has only really happened a few times, I end up just kind of seeing who they are as people, and then if I like them, I like them. If I don't, I don't. I'm not ashamed to say that, like, it's only gone, you know, to like a sexual level, and then it's like, and then it kind of dies. It's like, okay, cool, it was fine, like, because that's what I feel like a lot of the dancers do. If I know you've seen it, like in the dance scene, it's a lot of sexual tension sometimes, and you're like, whoa, and then you're like, okay, cool. You don't do it with everybody, but.
What if you really like the guy, you guys are having a great relationship, he's funny, everything's good with him, and you take him dancing and he just absolutely sucks. Like he's like forceful, or maybe he's not moving you enough. Like he's just like, it's the worst dance you've ever had. He's like turning you way too hard. Like, you're gonna be cool with that? You can be like, oh, let's work.
Yeah, I think so. If I really like this person, I'll be like, what is happening? But I'll definitely be like, where did that come? Because some people really like they're so good at other areas of their life, and you're like, oh man, you're good at this, you're good at that, you're good at that, and then you see that one area where they're just like
Yes. I love that.
stumbling
That's what
bears. Like you're like, bro, are you a panda?
It's so inspiring to me just seeing someone suck so bad at something that like you've only seen them in like the light, you've only seen them like fucking shining, and then you find out what they're bad at, and you're like, whoa, hold up. Like that's it's inspiring to me, especially when they're trying to get better at that bad thing, because it's like they have faith that they can get better at it because they've already accomplished so much in other areas of their life.
Oh yeah, I have a client. I love him to death, but I hate him because he's so good at it. Like, no matter what I throw at him, he'll just like pick it up. And I'm like, how the hell? I literally just told you to do this, and you just like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, how? Like, you've never danced in your life. This is like your third month. Like, what the hell is happening? Like, he's really topic. Cool, and like I like that he can do that.
I wanted to ask you this. When it comes to like that guy, someone just with innate talent.
Yeah.
There's always the debate that like Latinos are just naturally better at dancing. You hear that all the time. Like, oh, and then white people are bad at dancing. Like it's true. Like I was in Mexico and I was just looking at silhouettes on the wall of this club and I was like, oh, there's a white person right there. And I looked over and there's a white person. I was just like, I was right. And it's like, why, let me see what question I really want to ask with this. Cause there's really two questions. I think culture has a lot to do with the way people move their bodies and how comfortable they are moving their bodies. But I also think that just growing up, if people are around music a lot, their mom's dancing, their dad's dancing, and they've listened to so much salsa music their whole lives, but they've never actually danced before. They don't really go out dancing. Like they just watch it, they hear it. That person's going to be much, take it on much more naturally than someone who's never heard salsa music in their life and they just go to their first salsa class. You know what I mean? It's the first person doesn't have practice, like they've never been to classes, but they've listened to the music their whole life, which I think is practicing. I think listening to the music is a form of practice. If you listen intently and you're actually you're actually listening for the cowbells, like you're listening for the drums, you're listening for the melody, like you're hearing all these different instruments and you're really enjoying it. That to me is practice. And even seeing other people, seeing your mom dance, even though you didn't dance, seeing your mom, dad dance, like you already have such an upper hand because your brains already work so hard at the non-dancing aspects of dance itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So, can I tell you a little bit about my own experience in that since I'm Mexican?
Yeah. You're half Mexican, half something else, right? Are you? I thought you were like Filipino or something.
No. Everyone thinks that. No.
Okay. But you're actually Mexican? Because I remember when I met you, I just came back from Mexico or I was just about to go to Mexico or something. And I don't know. For some reason, I thought you told me you were actually Asian, but you were born in Mexico. I don't know. Made a story up.
No, super Mexican. So Mexican it hurts. But growing up, I actually didn't listen to a lot of salsa. Like I didn't listen to a lot of salsa or bachata. It was weird. My mom listened to a lot of like Thalia and like Cher, and so that music is more like pop Spanish. So it's just like the pop version of the English songs. Yeah, so it's mostly that. And my dad listened to a lot of mariachi music. Like it was a lot of like people yelling and yelping and stuff like that. And the only times I really ever heard salsa and bachata were when I went to parties, right? And that rarely happened. Like we went to maybe like, I'm gonna say in my lifetime of my 16 years with both my parents and my mom and my dad, I maybe went to like 20 parties my entire life in that time frame where maybe they played that Spanish music and I wasn't really like aware of it, if that makes any sense. So in high school, we took 1 year of salsa. I remember in high school, they made us learn the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. It was like the basic and how to turn pretty much. but they made us do it for a full year. And I remember thinking, like, I freaking love this. Like, I've never felt so alive than when I danced salsa, but I never danced salsa again. And then now fast forward to 5 years ago, when I started dancing salsa, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I started to really get into the music. I knew none of the music. I had to just keep hearing it on repeat and repeat. So that's what I did. But I think that what you're saying is true. I think that that little bit that I had in my past definitely helped me a lot. But I don't think it was enough to help me to the extent that I've come, if that makes any sense. Like, I had absolutely no rhythm in my body, and like I told you, I have that video for as proof. Like, the video that I have is
I wanna
so
see it.
so
You gotta show it to me
disgustingly
next time.
embarrassing that it's
DM it to me.
um oh, maybe that's a huge maybe. But so I was watching that video and I was like, oh my goodness, like, what am I doing with my arms? And this is what I used to dance like. And like, I get it. I get why people said no to me before, but it's still, I still I attribute everything that I've learned and how far I've come to just practice and practice and doing it on my own these past 5 years. I definitely, when I think about my past, I don't really see that in like in my upbringing, like anything to influence how I feel about it now. Because when I was like 13, 12, that's when I started to listen to like only rock music. And so it wasn't like it was something that was like constant in my life. Like, it came and went, but I feel like it'd be the same as if you were watching Hispanic, not like films or novelas, and you're like, oh, there's like a scene where they're playing salsa, and like that's pretty much how I had it, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, it does. I've gotten to the point now where I'll see people dance and I'll almost feel like I'm dancing. Like, if I see them, if I'm watching the guy, I can feel it in my body, whatever he's doing. And so, like, if I'm just passively sitting down on the side, I'll look at people and I feel like I can actually get better by just watching people dance.
Yeah, you can. I thought that was interesting what you said before, where you like, well, you look around and you're like, all right, that guy's doing that move, and then you do it too.
Yeah. Do you ever, as a lead, feel like you run out of moves?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you forget you know things and you're just like, what do I do now? But the thing that I always remember is listen to the music, listen to the song. And that helps me 1,000%.
It does.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm
Music
dancing. I forgot. So then you're like,
tells you things. I think it's easier to get in your head as a lead than a follow, and I do both. Because when I follow, I actually really enjoy following because I don't have to. It's a different style of thinking. It's not like an initiating thinking. Like, it's for sure thinking, and I don't think one's easier than the other. Like, I don't think it's a fair statement because it takes two to tango. Like, it's the same thing, you know. It's just like the other end of it. But yeah, following, it almost like it forces you to be super present. I feel like when you follow, like, you have to be watching. You have to know the intention of the lead. You have to be aware. You have to, like, you can't guess. You have to, like, actually be listening to what the lead's doing. Whereas being a lead, it definitely requires, if you want like a good connected dance, to be listening to your follow, but it's not the same intensity.
yeah. No, well, it's exactly what those words are, what they define. A lead is meant to direct you, and a follow is meant to follow, right? So as a lead, like, it's really hard to be like, crap, what do I do now? Or how do I do that? Or how do I do this? And as a follow, same thing. It's like, oh, that's what they wanted me to do. Like, I'm so confused right now. I didn't know my body could do that, you know? But they both share their own, like, their own struggle, their own challenges. And in leading, for example, for me, I do run out of moves all of the time, but then I start to remember, like, okay, it's not all about the moves. It's about the song. So then for leading, I feel like I just have to know that I'm in charge, and I'm like you said, it takes two to tango, but I am leading. I am directing the connection here. I like to say that I'm like, the lead is like the artist, and like the follow is like their paintbrush, and they're kind of just like going with the music, right? Like, you're painting what you want, and that's your muse right there. So like you're painting with this person and you're creating something magical, which is beautiful. And when you have that mentality where you're the artist as a lead, you start to realize that this is yours. This is like, yes, you are connecting with the person that's following you, but that's exactly what it is. You guys are connecting to your thought process and to the music. And if you guys can hear it the same way and go in the same way, then it's even more beautiful. But if you guys are kind of fighting and wrestling a little bit, then you guys definitely have different visions for whatever this painting is meant to be. And you're just painting with the wrong brush. But that's the lead's job, is to like, to be able to work with whatever they do get in order to create with what they want. That's the compromise in that then. And then as a follow, it's to be able to be dynamic and to be a little bit more like fluid in that. Like sometimes I dance with people that are a little bit more stiff than I am, but they want my movements to be big. Or sometimes I'm dancing with someone that's like way bigger than me, and then they want my movements to be small. So I listen. I listen as best as I can, but I try to change to whatever they are doing to me, and I just listen. Like I literally just have to be very hyper focused and being like, okay, I felt this, I felt that, and I think they mean this, and like they want me to do something else, and then I can get creative with it. Because once you start to understand those gestures as a leader or follow, then you can start getting a little more creative with it and adding your own. But you have to be comfortable with the movement first, knowing that you could do it with beginners or more advanced people.
I've noticed something interesting where you can look at people's eyes, and when they become the follow or when they become the lead, their whole face changes. Have you noticed this?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so like there's this one so like if I have a girl lead me, she's like, okay, hold on. And she'll kind of change her frame, and she'll be like, all right, like, and you can just tell she accesses like a different part of her brain, and she's like, all right, let's go. And vice versa. Like I've had this guy, he leads me, and it's nice when he leads me, but then like halfway through the dance, he'll be like, all right, now you lead me. And I'll just see his face. He'll like, he just changes. He kind of gets like softer, and he looks at me, and I'm just like, what just happened there? What did you just do to your, like, what happened in your brain? Like, if we took a brain scan of you, what area did you just activate? It's super interesting to me.
I think, okay, so for me, when I danced with you, for example, that was a tough one because you're taller than me. You're like ginormous. So I'm like, oof, how am I about to do this right now? And I'm like, all right, well, time to like extend super, and then you have to like put your body in that mentality because I'm not used to it. And I don't want to look like an idiot. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, so I had to know how to look a little bit more graceful when I do certain movements and things like that. It's for that's why my face would have changed before. And it still changes. Like when I dance with whoever, like someone random, it'll be like, I'll be so intense because it's a different mindset. It's like one is like, okay, tell me what to do, and the other is like, okay, now I have to tell you what to do. It's two completely different things. So you have to just be like, all right, which one am I accessing? It's like your left or right brain. You have your creative, you have your logic. Did I do that right? No, I don't remember. But it's like accessing those different parts, and you have to just like really be on top of it. And you're like, oh, this is what I'm doing right now. All right, let's go. Like you can't just mix it, because sometimes when I'm leading, I forget that I'm leading, and I'll fall into the follow. So I'll be like, then, and I'm like, oh man, I'm supposed to be leading this person right now, and I'm just trying to follow the music right now, So it's like, no, don't do that. Keep leading,
Gotcha. Interesting. That's probably like,
yeah.
That's probably a good problem to have, rather than like compulsively thinking of moves. Like, oh, what do I do next? It's probably better to get lost in the music.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here. This was interesting, having a dancer on. I want to do more podcasts.
Yeah.
Reach out my audience and have interesting, in-depth conversations. Where can they find you at?
You should try. What's that?
Well, go ahead with what you were saying. I was about to have you give an outro where they can find you at Instagram, YouTube, all that. But go ahead with what you were saying.
Oh yeah. Very quickly. Sorry, because it's lagging. That's why I'm like responding so lately.
You can see what I say before you.
Yeah. So you should probably, just before I say goodbye, but you should definitely hit up some like professional dancers that are actually like competing, and hit up dancers that are like more social, like Kayla
You compete?
and Tina, right? And then there are like the what?
Do you compete?
I'm going to next year.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Were you gonna do anything this year
But yeah,
at
like
Bachatiando or whatever it's called?
yeah, I was actually gonna teach at Bachatiando, potentially perform during Bachatiando time, and then we had a whole gig lined up for the next month, but that ended up not happening, so everything got canceled.
Dang, yeah, that was unfortunate. I was really looking forward to that, but they rescheduled it for July, right?
For June. So for June, we'll all be, yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so I'll film the little outro. You guys, thank you so much for having me. It was really, really fun. I haven't had this conversation like on live with anyone, so this was pretty interesting. Thank you for asking me all those questions, and thank you for answering mine. And you guys can find me on Becky Deeve on Instagram and YouTube now, because I'm gonna post my first video on Sunday. So I'm gonna refilm tomorrow.
Shoot me that YouTube link,
yeah,
and
thank
I'll
you.
add it in the description on YouTube for everyone to go to. All right.
Yes.
Peace out, Becky.